Becky Lynch just returned to WWE and had some comments to say about AEW's women's division. So we'll take a look at that. We'll also see what's going on with Trish Stratus, Smackdown, and much more. Let's start things off with this conversation that the fans brought up in recent weeks and even months. That's the slight dip in quality for Smackdown. Before the 2021 draft at the end of the year, it was a complete mismatch. Smackdown was just blowing Raw out of the water in every single possible department. Their world title scene was extremely more interesting, and their roster from top to bottom just put on these must-see shows compared to Raw. So during the 2021 draft, it appeared that WWE really tried their hardest to balance everything out. They knew SmackDown was too strong and too loaded, so they drafted a lot of the previous SmackDown talent to Raw in an attempt to just balance the quality out of both shows. The Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns feud was WWE's top storyline for a while and did a brilliant job of distracting us from the weakened SmackDown roster. But with that story now being completed and Brock Lesnar being gone, more fans are coming to the realization that SmackDown is in desperate need of some help from top to bottom. Sure, they have Roman Reigns. Even though Roman is the champion of both brands, he's definitely more of a SmackDown superstar than a Raw superstar. But still, it takes two to tango, so if you don't have a long list of great opponents for Roman to feud with, then obviously having him just isn't enough. As far as the main high-caliber superstars on SmackDown right now, it's pretty much Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. That's really it for your main event scene on SmackDown. So some fans have brought up the idea of ending the brand split, but all of the latest reports claim that there's no intention at all to end the brand split anytime soon. The thing that really saves Roman is that since he has the WWE title, he gets a pass to come to Raw and potentially pick some main event superstars from Raw to face. But hypothetically speaking, if Roman was to get into a feud on Raw with a Raw superstar, that's going to leave SmackDown even more depleted for as long as that feud lasts. So as you can see, it's really tricky to manage. There's been a lot of teases for Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre lately, so maybe WWE does turn to that feud in order to buy them some more time. The only downside to doing Drew vs. Roman right now is that we won't be able to see it at the WWE UK show in September. That's why some fans were hoping that they would save that feud until September for that massive event. Fans have even pointed out that Raw has been getting all the star power lately. They have Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Asuka, eventually Alexa Bliss, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, Ali, Edge, Damian Priest, AJ Styles, RK Bro, Theory, Rhea Ripley, and so much more great talent and storylines. SmackDown, on the other hand, doesn't really have much of any substance outside of Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. Another thing that fans have noticed is that Raw seems to be getting a lot of the returns, while SmackDown has been getting the fresh debuts of some NXT faces. So no one knows if that's their strategy or it's just a coincidence, but that's how it's been in recent weeks. Raw gets returns, SmackDown gets debuts. And it's not like immediate help is on the way for SmackDown. There's still another 6 months to go until WWE's 2022 draft. So until then, WWE will have to find a way to keep SmackDown skating smoothly until the next draft. Maybe Roman Reigns feuds with Drew McIntyre for a few months, and then feuds with Cody Rhodes for a few months after that, and that'll buy them some time until the draft. But it's just something that fans have brought up. From being this must-watch show in WWE to taking a bit of a slip, SmackDown has definitely dropped in quality, but hopefully it's something that gets addressed even before the draft. AEW's MJF had a tweet that went viral which included Trish Stratus. In that tweet, he called Trish Stratus annoying and said he was glad to be home because she wouldn't leave him alone. Some fans were confused, but obviously that tweet was in character. The both of them were at a recent wrestling event together, and that's when Trish ran into him. As far as everything else Trish Stratus related, everyone believes that Trish will still have one last run, similar to what we saw Lita have a few months ago. Trish has said that she'll definitely be down for another return if the opponent and story is right. So we'll have to wait and see if we ever get that one last run from Trish Stratus. Becky Lynch took part in an interview with Drew Garabo to promote her Raw return, and the topic of AEW's women's division came up. When asked her thoughts on AEW's women's division, Becky Lynch had this to say, quote, "Unfortunately, I don't think they are represented the way we are. They don't get as much time as we get, and frankly, they're not as good as we are. We have, certainly on Raw, we have the best women's division in the world. I say that without any hesitation in my voice," end quote. So Becky's response was met with different fan reactions, but Becky just said her true feelings. She is a part of the WWE roster, so of course you're going to say that your team is better. But Becky basically revealed that how AEW can improve the presentation of the women's division. It sounded like she was basically saying that if you give them more time and represent them in a different way, then maybe that will lift the women's division up for AEW even more. Speaking of Becky Lynch, she made her return to Raw this week. She marched out to the ring to talk about how she lost it all, how it's been so many years since she walked out without a title, and how she has hit rock bottom. However, she instantly snapped out of it and talked about how her rise to the top restarts right now and how she'll climb back up. Becky then got interrupted by the returning Asuka, who made her first WWE appearance in over 281 days, who confronted Becky Lynch. This is great because it ties back to May 2020, where Becky Lynch relinquished her title before her pregnancy and handed it to Asuka. Everyone thought that Becky returning to challenge Asuka for that world title would have been a very interesting return route for Becky. That didn't end up happening, but this is the next best thing. Like we talked about for when it comes to Becky Lynch, she's one of the rare elite storytellers in WWE. She took to Twitter to post that gif of Asuka and herself from 2020 with a caption that read, quote, "I literally handed this B-word my title, #witness the climb," end quote. So even with the big WrestleMania loss, it would appear that Becky's character does have a new arc, and it included starting from the bottom, literally climbing back to the top again. Becky's attitude is that she's done this before. She climbed from the bottom to the top in years past, so she feels like she can definitely do it again. That's why she used the hashtag of the climb. She's on the journey of being at the bottom and being hungry once again, and now the climb back to the top starts now. So it's a great direction for Becky. She gets to have a great non-title feud with Asuka and began this journey of getting all these obstacles out of the way until she makes it back to the title again. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.